Hello, welcome to the Scenic Route with me, Victoria Stewart. I'm a financial empowerment coach and recovering corporate engineer. Every week, I'm here on this channel and this podcast with conversations around detours, pivots, and unexpected turns that led us somewhere better than the straight line that we had in our minds ever could. Today, we're actually going to be talking about the one thing that I truly believe will actually help in filling in any part of you that is starting to feel hollow, to feel like it's going dark, to feel where you feel like you've lost some of that sparkle. So, just for background, if you don't know me, I worked as a civilian engineer for the Navy, civilian engineer and project manager for 20 years. I had what looked like an amazing career on paper. Really good money, wonderful colleagues, and the work was meaningful, at least on paper. And I don't know if this resonates with you, but I imagine that from the outside, everything was fine. I was showing up to work. I was highly productive. I was maybe even one of the most efficient and responsive people on the team. And people came to me to get stuff done. And it probably looked like everything was fine on the outside, but on the inside, it was anything but. I think one of the best examples of this is that towards the end of my career, and it sort of started during COVID, but during COVID, it was because I was working from home. So I would do all the work well before Friday. And so I would take a half day on Friday because I had done the work that needed to be done. But then once we went back to the office, I couldn't make it through the week for a full day on Friday. It was like by lunchtime, I was completely out of steam, out of patience, out of anything. And then the entire weekend felt like it was just recovery, right? Like just getting enough done so that you're ready for Monday. It did not feel like the weekend was for living. And it was just like one thing kind of after the other. It just felt like everything was lying on top of itself and getting heavier and heavier and heavier. So I think for me, the thing that maybe brought it mostly into focus was just that I woke up every day just tired and exhausted and not really wanting to go to work, which was not who I was before. I was excited. I worked for the Navy. It felt like it was a valuable mission. I was helping sailors train so that they knew how to do their jobs. It felt important. And then all of a sudden it didn't. It was just that something felt out of alignment. Something felt empty inside of me. And I just assumed something medically was wrong, right? So I went to many doctors, got so much blood work taken, and everything just kept coming back normal. Just normal. And that was like, that can't possibly be right. So it just got me to explore a bunch of different things to try to help my body feel better, which I realized eventually, that might not necessarily have really been the problem, right? It's like that the word burnout, where some of it is actually physical, where your adrenal glands just can't keep up with your cortisol being spiked all the time. But so I was like, all right, how do I help my body reduce stress? I tried going vegan, no meat, no dairy, just to see, because I had heard, well, if you have a whole lot of inflammation in your body, start taking away the things that cause inflammation. So I did that. I was like, well, that didn't seem to really make such a drastic difference like some people say happens. So I decided, I found Emily Fletcher and Ziva meditation through podcast. I was trying to remember. I think it was watching the Netflix documentary with Darren O'Lean and oh my gosh, and now I don't remember his name, but Down to Earth. And I was like, oh, they're so cute together. And I love what they were talking about. Let me see if I can find Darren on a different podcast. And he was on Rich Roll's podcast. So I listened to that. And then Darren started his own podcast. And then Emily showed up on his podcast. And then I was like, you know what? I'll give this a try. Every other attempt at meditation didn't work. So let me try this. And at first it did not stick, but I tried it again right before the new year. And it actually worked. And I noticed a difference in my sleep right away, or a little bit. But the most interesting thing that happened to me was that I didn't need that glass of wine at the end of the day anymore. And I was like, ooh, something is working. But it felt like I was peeling layers off, but not really getting any clearer or feeling like I was coming back to myself. I kept wanting to come back to that energetic, enthusiastic person that I had been in my 20s and 30s. And I couldn't figure it out. I could not figure it out. And then I found the thing that I think was the problem, and what I suspect is a problem for many of you, and take it or leave it. I think that's my favorite thing from learning coaching is you always offer something up, and then you as the listener take what pieces of it resonate. You don't have to take anything I say as gospel. This is just my perspective, my experience, but maybe there's little pieces here that will actually be helpful and maybe unlock something in your brain. So the most curious thing as I started meditating is part of Emily's meditation practice is some mindfulness. So a little breath, you meditate, and then you manifest. But to manifest, you have to know what you want. And for the life of me, I could not figure out what I actually wanted. All I knew was that it seemed like my job was no longer in alignment with my values, just with how things have changed after COVID, our world as it is. It just felt like there was some dissonance going on. I was like, I don't know if I want to be part of this. It's been 20 years. It feels like it's time to turn the page. So I started working with a coach who was trained in the VITA methodology from Layla Martin. And it's a tantric approach to sex, love, and relationship coaching, but it is all based off of your desires, giving yourself time and space to feel into what you really want. And it can be really hard when we have been pushing aside what we really desire based off of what maybe society, your family, your history, your education is kind of pushing you towards, that you stop listening to what you actually want. So the first step in getting more in touch with that hollow space inside of you, in my experience, and in the clients that I have worked with, is giving yourself the time and space, the quiet, to get clear on what it is that you actually want. And I think that the coolest way to do this is to actually feel into a future with what it is that you desire. So for example, if you are working in your corporate career and you just, like me, know that it's time to go, but maybe you probably know what it is that you want to build next, or maybe not, but something is holding you back. It could be that you haven't spent some time dreaming into that future so that it becomes familiar, becomes safe, and you start getting a little bit more clear on how this, your life might look like in this future that you're building. So, because I think the most interesting thing, and kind of why trauma hangs around, is that your brain doesn't actually know the difference between a memory and what is happening presently. Hence why you can get so terrified in a memory, or why people get stuck in PTSD, right? Because something triggers that memory and it feels like it's happening right now. So we can also use this piece of the brain, this technology, to start to teach your brain how it's going to feel to be in this new reality. And you get to spend some time in what it feels like to be in what it is that you're trying to build. And when you do that, the thing that I have noticed happens for my clients is that you start to notice the parts of your life where you already have the thing you think you're dreaming in the future. It's already here. And that can be so, so powerful, because they say what you pay attention to is the thing that grows. So if you spend your time in like, oh, I'm not ready, oh dear, I need to do this, I need to do that, then you'll stay there. But if you start shifting your focus to that future, recognizing the parts of it you already have, you can then, like, the energy around it grows, the excitement around it grows. So if you spend some time dreaming into that business you're building, what you want your life to look like when you've left, when you're working for yourself, like, what are the important pieces that you want to preserve for yourself? Do you only want to work 4 days a week? Do you want to have a 3 or 4 day weekend? Like, what is it that is super important to you? Like, do you have a hobby and you want to make sure that there's certain mornings every week that you get to go do this thing? Do you want to go work out every day? Do you want to be taking a week off every month? Do you want to take the entire summer off, right? So, like, how do you want your business to support that life that you actually want to be living? So I am going to take you through an abbreviated version of this practice so that you can experience it a little bit here. I will be taking you through a more full version of the practice in my masterclass on the 1st of May. I will include some details in the show notes. It's going to be an hour and a half where we talk through three strategies of how to move yourself past, I just need one more year before I go, and how you can start to shift yourself into taking action, into feeling safe with this new reality that you're moving into. So, the structure of this practice is simple, and it gets easier the more you do it. And hence why I wanted to introduce it here on this episode, so that if anybody wants to, you get 3 weeks time almost to practice it a little bit before I guide you through it live in the masterclass. And if you're listening to this after May 1st, there will be another masterclass. The link that I will provide in the show notes will take you to the wait list, so that you can get notified when I have the next masterclass. I also have a recording, and that is also in the show notes for the initial grounding breath work, the 5 minutes of grounding that I will guide you through to start off with. And then after we do that, to kind of center ourselves and quiet our bodies and just settle into the present, I will guide you through what is called 5 senses reality, where we're going to just experience, allow for whatever comes through to come through, whether it's through sight, sound, smell, taste, and feeling, like touch. But I will also ask you, like, do you feel anything? And if you're like, well, I can't visualize, I can't do that, that is perfect. There are some folks who can't visualize at all. There's some of us who are non-specific manifestors where it becomes very difficult to see specifics, where it's more just the general feeling. So if you can't see things, like if you feel things rather than seeing, hearing, tasting, smelling, when you like dream, or if you've ever tried a visualization before, just allow whatever feelings come through, because they're as valid and potentially even more potent than the seeing, hearing, everything else. All of it kind of links together, but your body is going to remember the feeling, even if your brain is remembering what it's experiencing. So that is the general gist. We will keep this to about 10 minutes here, if not a little shorter. In the masterclass, we'll give it a good 15, maybe even 20 minutes, depending on how many people come, and to just give you a chance to experience it and take some notes. And yeah, so if you are listening to this, if you are watching this, it's safe to like sit down, close your eyes. I invite you to do that. But if you are watching or listening as you're in the middle of walking the dog or driving, then hit pause. You can come back to this later. But I now invite those of you who can to soften your gaze or close your eyes, whatever feels most comfortable. If you can be sitting down or lying down, whatever feels better for you. And with your eyes closed or your gaze softened, I invite you to bring your awareness to your breath, to your inhales, to your exhales, noticing your breath coming in through your nose or your mouth, moving down into your lungs, and then coming back out on the exhales. And slowly, slowly, maybe begin to slow your breath down, noticing as your inhales and your exhales get a little deeper with each breath. And then, if it feels doable, I invite you to slowly invite your exhales to become a little longer than your inhales. Allowing the exhale to slow things down. And maybe with every exhale, begin to let your body relax, shoulders soften. Maybe you begin to notice what it feels like to be supported by the chair you're sitting in, your feet on the floor, or if you're lying down, the surface of what you're lying down on, supporting your whole body. Noticing how there's always something there, even if it's the floor holding you up, something there to support you as you move through the day. So breathing in on the inhale, relaxing on the exhale. And now on this next exhale, I invite you to begin visualizing roots growing out of your sit bones if you're sitting, or out of the entire back body of if you're lying down. Or if roots feel strange and inaccessible, you can imagine like a cord dropping down from your root chakra, your tailbone. And either these roots or this grounding cord, they begin to slowly make their way down to the center of the earth. And as they make their way down through the many layers until they reach the molten core, just continue breathing, softening on the exhale, breathing in on the inhale. And when the roots or the grounding cord reach the molten core, you can imagine that they've made a connection to this magnetic core of the earth. And as you exhale, you can begin to release anything that isn't serving you, whether it's limiting beliefs, just thoughts that have been spinning around in your brain, maybe even tightness or pain in your body, allowing muscles to relax, just continuing that feeling of relaxation as you exhale. So you inhale, and as you exhale, you allow anything you want to let go of to move down the roots, move down the grounding cord, and to be reached the center of the earth where they get melted down. The earth recycles this energy or all of this into energy that can be used in the highest good of all. You no longer need it, but maybe somebody else will. So release on the exhale. And then I invite you to imagine that you begin on the inhales to draw some of that grounding, nurturing energy up from the earth. Releasing on the exhale, bringing up on the inhale. And you can imagine this energy, this purified, nurturing energy from the earth starts to take and fill up those spaces that you just cleared. Nurturing your cells, your mitochondria, filling in all those gaps with all this beautiful energy. One cell, one space, one body part, one organ, one muscle at a time. So exhaling and releasing, inhaling and bringing in. And as you're breathing in this energy of the earth, I invite you to imagine yourself maybe in a year, maybe it's 6 months, maybe it's 2 years. And what does your life look like now? Just call in and just allow anything to pop in. You've been dreaming this probably for a while, even if it's subconsciously. If it's easier to imagine what your business is going to look like or what your work life is going to be, start there. If it's easier to imagine what waking up in the morning will feel like when you're no longer in your current job, start there. It's always fun and interesting to see what comes through. So spend a little time just being in that future state. And then maybe pay attention to what you see around yourself. What do you see that lets you know that you are now living this life where you're running your own business, you're living an aligned life. Is there people that you see? Are you in a specific place, a specific time of year? Are there things around you, animals? Like, what tells you that you are there? Now, is there anything that you hear? Are there conversations? Do you hear a specific person? Is there any background noise? Do you hear the wind, the ocean? Are you in a city, in the countryside? What do you hear that tells you you are in this reality, this future place, this dream life that you're moving toward? Now I invite you to see if you smell anything. Is there anything that you smell around you that tells you you are there, that you have this life? And how about taste? Is there anything that you're eating, that you taste, that you've been drinking, that would show you that you're in this place? Or maybe it's your favorite coffee as you're working, sitting down. Maybe it's tea. And then is there anything you can touch that tells you that you are there? Whether it's things, a person, a texture. Just allow whatever comes through to come through. And finally, what do you feel? Are there any emotions that come through? Are you feeling excited, happy, grounded, energized? What would you be feeling that tells you you are here, that you are in this reality? Spend a little time integrating all of this together. And then I invite you to slowly begin to deepen your breath or bring your awareness back to your breath. Noticing your inhales, noticing your exhales. Wiggling your fingers and toes. Maybe adding in any stretches. Bringing yourself back into your body. And then you can gently open your eyes. And if you have something to write with, I invite you to write down what you observed. It will be a fun thing if you do this again, to just see if you get more clarity around certain things, to do more things pop in. When I do this, I have very consistent things that come through. And then every once in a while, there's a very curious addition that surprises me. There's usually always something new that comes through every time I have done this. So that is the first step, allowing yourself to actually dream into the future, allowing yourself to get some clarity on like what you desire is the first step to begin to reconnect to that part of yourself that has felt like it's turned off, that feels hollow, that it feels like it's been going dark. And we'll go into this again in the masterclass. And this is actually how I start my coaching program. And we start every session with that grounding exercise to like bring us into where we are now. And I start my 6-month container with a session specifically dedicated to experiencing what you desire, like getting clear what it is you're moving towards, so that you're starting in a high vibration state. You're excited about what you're building. And we're building that memory, that sensory memory for what that future is going to look like. I would invite you over the next few days to just pay attention to where in your life you may already have some of these things that you saw in this five senses reality. It can be super interesting, validating, and motivating to be like, oh, I already have this. Maybe I can turn the volume on. Like, how do I turn the volume up on this part of my life so that I am living this dream more so now? So thank you so much for being here. Again, if this at all resonated and you would like to do this again with me guiding you live, join us for the masterclass. If you would like to do this on your own, in the show notes, I have my 5-minute grounding reset that will guide you through the start, and then you can guide yourself through the five senses reality, especially now that you've had an abbreviated guided version here. And the more time you spend here, the more time, and it doesn't take a lot of time, right? It was like 10 minutes, maybe, and that was because I was guiding the grounding. You can do the grounding as quickly as you want and just do a minute or two sitting here with your life, like with this dream life, so that you get more and more familiar to you and to your body. So that is this episode. Next week, I'll be bringing in the second part of what I'll be teaching in the masterclass, which is what is the specific trap that high achieving women get stuck in for staying for just one more year. And then I will see you next week.